We're going to go ahead and call our public hearing of the Board of Trustees of CSISD to order. I'd like to declare a quorum of 7 trustees present. It's going to take us to item C, receive a report related to accelerated instruction for the end of course exams in the 2020-21 school year. Mr. Martindale.
Thank you, Mr. Nugent. Districts are required to report on the effectiveness of their accelerated instruction efforts annually for students that fail one or more end-of-course exams at the high school level. These accelerated instruction efforts are offered to students during the summer prior to the June retest of EOCs. And here with additional information, we have Ms. Parkerson and Mrs. Perry. I believe they're going to be tag teaming this one.
That's correct. Thank you, Mr. Martindale. Mr. Nugent, members of the board, our public hearing this evening rolls nicely into earlier conversations around student performance and accelerated instruction. However, we are required under Texas law, excuse me, to provide a public hearing specifically over accelerated instruction efforts again, just really specifically related to our end of course exams. So as you heard earlier this evening, we do have requirements around the provision of accelerated instruction for students who do not pass their state mandated exams. That participation may happen outside of those normal school hours and is a really important part of moving towards graduation as those 5 end of course exams are required. So here you can just see the education code as amended by House Bill 5 that does require us to evaluate the effectiveness. So this evening we'll be speaking not only to the program, but the results. So we had an opportunity earlier this summer to go over the results of our end of course exams in spring of 2021. So I'll briefly hit on those before I turn it over to Ms. Parkerson to talk about the programs that were offered this summer as well as the results. So first of all, Algebra 1, as a quick refresher, we do have a very large number. In fact, this year it was 383 students in middle school who take the Algebra 1 end of course exam because they are enrolled in that course. And so those students, specifically middle school, were all successful, but they're also included in these results. So as a reminder, in the realm of STAR, there are 3 passing levels: approaches, meets, and masters. So you can see our performance on each of those performance levels in red and the state in blue. So already quickly you can see with 91% of our testers meeting the baseline passing level of approaches, we already had far fewer that required accelerated instruction relative to our peers across the state. Then looking at biology, we had 89% passing. And so again, fewer students requiring that accelerated instruction with 11% needing to move forward and retest. English 1 and 2, side by side. You can see historically we've seen a little better performance in English 2 relative to English 1, and that trend held this year. Then U.S. history, so about 5% of our students required accelerated instruction in that particular area.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. Good evening again. So our accelerated instruction program this past summer still fell under that umbrella of the Student Success Initiative that has now been replaced by the new requirements in House Bill 4545 that we covered earlier. So a year from now, this information will look a little bit different. So the rest of the presentation really focuses in on our summer program led by Mr. McKeever. This is housed for all high school students in the district at one location at A&M Consolidated High School. This included this summer accelerated instruction for Algebra 1, Biology, English 1, and English 2 end of course exams. You'll notice that U.S. history is missing from that list because of the low number of students who needed that accelerated instruction and the need to really prioritize the students we were serving. But also that U.S. history EOC comes at the end of junior year, headed into senior year, and as we look at some historical data, you can see that participation of those students between junior and senior year has not been as high as the other areas as well. So with the summer retest opportunity that our high school students have, we actually have a 2-week window to serve them through this program before the summer retest happens during that 3rd week of June. Because of the additional learning recovery needs that we saw based on our students who did not perform as well and did not earn all of their credits, a committee met last spring and we expanded our offerings under this umbrella to also look at serving our students who had a need for credit recovery through in-person instruction. And so while our focus is really on our STAR accelerated instruction needs, I also wanted to highlight some of the successes of that additional program that we had there, which covered our EOC courses and added English 3 as well. So as you saw earlier today, these are our students who did not meet standard and who needed to be served through accelerated instruction. In Algebra 1, there was a question about our middle schoolers earlier, and I have some clarifying information there. We do actually have 7 middle school students, 1 7th grader and 6 8th graders who fall into this category. But I think it's important to note that in a COVID year, the reasons they are in this did not meet category vary far more widely than usual. Only one of those is actually a student who did not meet the standard. The others were absent, and our virtual students who were scored as O codes to indicate that they were virtual students who refused to attend on campus. So I think that for context, we need to remember that on the whole, any student who did not participate in the test is also included as someone who did not meet the standard. So the retest opportunity is open to students who attended the EOC tutorial opportunities, but also to those who just would like to come in and take the retest. And so we thought it was important to take a look at our students who attended the EOC's passing rate in comparison to those who did not attend the EOC tutorials. So in algebra, you'll notice that 10% of our students who did not attend compared to 50% of the attendees passed. Biology, it's 45% compared to 61%. In English 1, it's a much closer comparison. Here, English 2, 24% compared to 44%. And then once again, the only students in U.S. history who took the retest came for the retest opportunity and did not attend additional accelerated instruction. So another lens here, not only is it important to measure whether or not a student was able to get to that approaches and achieve their passing score, but growth is especially important. You know, when you think about it, we had most of our students in this program for 8 days of intense summer intervention. Because of that, Mr. McKeever and his team were very creative in making sure we had multiple opportunities and paths for students. So we had one group who, for algebra, participated in their 8-day intensive intervention. We had others who were invited for a 2-day intensive right before the retest. And then the students represented in blue had no intervention whatsoever. And so this first chart here shows the overall passing rates of those 3 groups. But it's also important to note the growth demonstrated by these students as well. For biology, instead of a 2-day intervention, they had some Schoology content already created that they were able to share with students. And so we have those without intervention, those who participated in the online version of the intervention, and then those who participated in the 8-day intensive. And you can see the passing rate here as well as that growth. So you can tell who the online participants were very successful, and I would infer very self-motivated through that process. English 1 is an area where the retesting passing rate in the summer was not high. However, the overall growth of our students who participated in the English 1 1-day intervention and the 8-day intervention was exponential. So we haven't met that mark yet, but these students are moving in that direction in their growth measure. Similarly, in English 2, they also offered the 1-day intervention, and you can see the comparison between the passing rates and then the students' overall growth is shown through the STAR reporting categories. This information just shows you that the trends over time. We've talked a lot about percentages, but overall participation rates in the summer can vary wildly from year to year. And so you can see the number of students who participated in those programs as well as the actual passing. So the raw numbers are featured here. This is what I mentioned to you earlier about the U.S. history level of participation with 4 in the last time this was offered. I also think that it's important to always go back to that context that all of these students had a gap year in their STAR assessments, in that interrupted learning, and that this is representative of the impact of COVID as well. So we have a lot of success, I think, embedded within this. On the whole, students who participated in the program grew, even if they did not meet the passing standard. Additionally, we expanded the number of students served beyond only those who needed accelerated instruction, and we served them through a variety of methods, from the intensive 8-day program to the 2-day program in Algebra 1, the online option for biology, and then the 1-day intensive writing workshop with our English 1 and our English 2 learners. Additionally, because we served other students who had credit deficiencies under the same umbrella, I wanted to highlight, even though it's not part of accelerated instruction, the number of students who we were able to really impact by getting them back on track toward meeting graduation requirements through recovering credits. So in Algebra 1, we recovered 22 half credits. In Biology 1, we recovered 37 half credits. In English 1, 40 half credits. English 2, 49 half credits. And we were able to get those English 3 kiddos in for those 35 half credits there as well. I think it's also important to note that in these, the English 3 program, these students who completed their summer intervention also participated in a program called the Texas College Bridge. And each of these students now are showing that they are college and career ready on our CCMR standard as well. So we integrated that into our intervention efforts. As far as challenges, student participation in the summer, as we've noted, is difficult, especially so quickly right after the end of the school year. In a long and difficult year, like last year's, just with all the different circumstances. Staffing is historically an issue, and it was even a greater ask this summer. Mr. McKeever was indeed. Thank you, Mr. McKeever, knocking on doors and rallying the troops and really motivating our teachers to come out and serve and help our kids. At that point in the summer, we do not yet have the detailed student results to really hone in on targeted instruction. We have reporting category information only, and so it's a very quick turnaround to create that intervention and meet the students' needs. In addition, some students are represented in multiple tests, and so we really have to prioritize what area we think we can make the greatest gains in and put them in that intensive accelerated instruction. We also, as we were planning for this summer program, we went out on a limb a little bit in adding that credit recovery, and we learned an important lesson. We previously identified our students before the school year was dismissed who we knew were going to have credit deficiency, wagering that they would overlap a lot with our students and their EOC testing performance. And we have learned that that's not necessarily the case. And so while we served a large number of students, we've learned as we're planning forward that we need to make sure we have capacity for all of those needs. Additionally, as we plan forward, meeting those new requirements that we've shared this evening about House Bill 4545 are going to lead to us continuing to examine, evaluate our past practices, and reimagine how we offer these programs for our students as we move forward. All right. At this time, we'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
I think my question would be kind of what you alluded to is, the results. I love that you showed the students who did not receive the accelerated instruction compared to those who did, and that actually it made a difference, right? That seemed very clear. So how do you get more people, more than students that need to attend though? That seemed like a pretty big gap on the actual percentage. And I mean, I'm assuming that's something you guys worked with, and I don't know, what was the learning this summer? Any new ideas?
We'll have ongoing conversations about this, but as we move forward because of the changes, since we're no longer under that Student Success Initiative umbrella and we're meeting new requirements, I would foresee that another motivational factor for students would be perhaps to go ahead and attend that summer program and be able to complete all of my required hours rather than having that ongoing intervention throughout the school year. Because moving forward either way, we will be participating in some really intensive intervention activities with these students.
And these retests for these end of course exams will continue to exist in the summer, kind of in the same schedule?
Yes, ma'am. Based on the information that we have, we'll still have a summer retest opportunity as well as a December retest opportunity.
Thank you.
All right, anything else? Ms. Parkinson, thank you so much. Oh, I understand. That'll take us to item D. Is there any public comment, Ms. Warren? There's not. All right. Well, thank you very much. With that, we will adjourn and be back in just a couple of minutes. Thank you.